Many blessings, my loves, and blessed new moon to you, which is today. It was this morning at 6:21 a.m., I believe, GMT time zone. So, yes, wow, we are in these new moon energies today, and yeah, really feeling it. And yeah, mum life means that sometimes I can't get on to do these reports when I'm as early as I would like, and then yeah, that's my South Node in Virgo really wants, and my moon in Capricorn really wants to be on time and orderly and get things out. And then there's my North Node in Pisces, which takes me into this complete surrender and trust into perfect timing. So I'm trusting that this will be delivered and received to you in absolute perfect timing. And such is my journey with my nodal return. So yes, I hope that you've been riding these waves well. And yeah, we've got a new moon with Antares today. I'm going to go into an overview with you before we go into any more juicy stuff. So sharing, this is my overview that I've done, which I always do, my little creative thing. It's a new moon in Ophiuchus with Antares. So it's Scorpio-Ophiuchus area of the sky, which is around about where we have our galactic center as well. So that's today at 6:21 a.m. GMT time. Um, Coming around into the next part of the cycle, we've got our first quarter moon in Aquarius with Saturn. But before that, we've got Mars going retrograde in Cancer on the 6th of December. And then the day after, Neptune will be going direct. So after the new moon and this week afterwards, on the build up until the first quarter, we've got quite a shift in energy, which I'm sure we'll all feel. Mars is going back into his retrograde in Cancer and Neptune going direct. So it's like there's a backward motion for the dynamic doing energy and a forward motion of the dreamy, cosmic, spiritual energy. So that makes me feel like these two energies, collaborating around the same time of like Mars going backwards, Neptune going forwards, it feels like a real invitation to turn within, to the inner realms, to the dream, to the visions, to all of those kind of more mystical, spiritual side of ourselves. And Mars being retrograde in Cancer, I feel like this is going to be bringing up a lot. He'll be going retrograde around the Beehive cluster in Cancer, which we'll look into the life sky in a moment. So it feels like there could be a lot coming up around origin, or family, and birth, how we came into this world, or looking at the cycles within our childhood and our family unit and really reflecting on our feelings and our security and if we felt safe or abandoned and nurtured, in our younger years. So it could be, this will be a time of reflection. And then the Neptune going direct, the day after is going to bring us into our dream world. So we may be getting lots of dreams coming up around the past and our childhood or our family members, and this could be a really time of really looking inside at all of those deeper patterns and cycles within our psyche. And then the first quarter moon, like I said, on the 8th is with Saturn, 1526 on the 8th of December. So Saturn has newly gone direct in the last cycle. So there will be a real focus around, our responsibilities, as a collective, what it is we wanting to build, for the futuristic Aquarian age, that we're kind of feeling these kind of more technology side of things, but also like for the collective consciousness and, the groups. And so in the building of this cycle, we'll be really looking at the Saturn energy. And then interestingly, so Saturn is in square to Jupiter. So the first quarter moon is with Saturn, and then the full moon is with Jupiter. So because they're in square at the moment. So, and in the time of this new moon, they're in a T square with the new moon. So Saturn and Jupiter have got a really big kind of piece in this whole cycle, I feel. Um, and Mercury, who is retrograde, is in opposition to Jupiter as well. So this is going to be an interesting energy of Mercury is also going to go direct, is retrograde, ends the time of the full moon with Jupiter. So this is an energy of like, it's like a tension between like expansion and growth and our mind um and our intelligence and our communication. So that's on the 15th that we've got that full moon. And then on the 18th, we've got the sun moving into Sagittarius. So it'll be having its rebirth over the galactic center. And that always feels like such a beautiful time. And then we've got our solstice on the 21st, the returning of the light, or Yule for us in the north, and Lifa for you in the south. So your summer solstice, the time of most light. So for us in the northern hemisphere now, in this cycle, this is the darkest of the dark. This is the darkest time of the year. And so for those of us who are up here in the north and we're in this dark time, the evenings are dark, the mornings are dark, there's a lot of dark kind of energy around. And it's getting colder, the people are kind of turning more inward. And I feel like so this kind of build up between now to solstice can feel that it can be feeling quite a lot of feelings, and it is the descent. It's the descent of Inanna and it's Persephone and going into like taking off the layers of the old skin, which perfectly matches with Ophiuchus, right? The serpent bearer. We're taking off all of the old layers and the death, with Antares. There's a death of something and an ending of something, and we have to really allow that to die and let that cycle complete, let that skin come off. And then, so this energy of Antares and the scorpion, it's like the breaking down of the old, it's the eating away of the old cycle and making good compost, good fertilizer from that which has died. And from that new fertilizer, all of the new seeds can grow into, fertile, beautiful flowers and crops and herbs and things. So this energy is so important, and I think the Scorpio-Ophiuchus kind of area of the sky gets a lot of bad press because it's like considered as death. And I think in our culture, that death is not honored and revered in the way that it has been, and that it is a rites of passage and a sacred ending of life, So especially with Jupiter, in Jupiter in Taurus, there could be a lot coming up around abundance and needing to, have lots of things and material items and feeling quite indulgent, but the energy of a fucus is naked in the woods. So I don't need any of that. Give me some firewood and I'll light a fire in the woods and find everything I need right there. So it's a very different energy. Jupiter in Taurus is all about the physical and security and possessions and growing things and expanding into all of the possessions. And then on the flip side of that, the Ophiuchian energy is like you've got to let some of that go. You've got to let things die. You've got to descend. There's a time for growth and then there's a time for descent and letting go. We have to return to that cyclical way of being to make space for the new to come in. And if we don't do that consciously, it will happen to us anyway because we need to make space for the new to come in. Yeah, so anyway, that was a big ramble. And for those of you who are in the southern hemisphere, you are coming into Lifa, and this is the time of the most light. So it's the fullness of the summer and the expansion of all of that light. So really feeling the full expression of who you are and in that whole, out there in the world. And in preparation for your descent, after the solstice, everything changes. We get more light and you get more dark. So this solstice time is a real turning point and a celebration and a coming together and being in community. So the last quarter moon will be in Virgo with the South Node, and that's on the 22nd, so just in time for um, the day after the solstice and just before Christmas. And we've got a nice trine with Jupiter and Venus around that time, so that's going to feel really nice. Um, yeah, so that's the overview. We've got our another new moon in December, so there'll be one on the 30th of December in Sagittarius. So we'll have two new moons in December. And yeah, we're on the countdown now. We're on the countdown till the solstice. So we've been lighting, we lit our first candle. We have a solstice spiral that we made out of clay. We made a snake and me and my children, we put 21 candles in it. And each day we light a candle for the returning of the light. So we count down each day. And that's just a really beautiful way that we recognize this time of year. Okay, so let's stop sharing that one. I'm going to go into the live sky now for everyone. So here we go, Stellarium Web. So you can see, so it was 6:21, that's what I said, wasn't it? Yes, 6:21. So you can see at the time of the new moon, look at the moon and Antares. It's like so close. It's like literally touching it. So we really need to pay attention to Antares during this cycle. Like Antares is a royal star. It's the watcher of the West, and also gets terrible press because it's associated with death and endings and darkness, and so this is a very, very powerful star, you know. Um, I'm going to go to Bernadette Brady because she's in her fixed star book. I like connecting to what she has to say about it, and then I'll tune into what I have to say about it. It's the heart of the Scorpion, one of the great stars of the sky. It's a royal star of Persia. It's known as the Watcher of the West. In the Persians, this star was the god of the dead, Yima. For the Egyptians, the West was also the land of the dead, for the sun sets in the West and the light dies there. In the Egyptian Book of the Dead, the souls start their journey to the afterlife by travelling westward. This royal star, Antares, offers great success, worldly or otherwise. However, it can indicate to a person that can cause their own undoing. Anything else that I want to share around that? So I feel like success will come, but we will be tested in that too. And as the royal stars always bring a test. And I feel this particular test around this cycle, is linked to Mercury retrograde. Let's see where Mercury is right now. Is Mercury. So Mercury is going to be going all the way back just to Scorpio before he goes forward again at the time of the full moon. So let's just go. I'm just going to click on your Mercury so you don't go anywhere. I'm just going to fast forward for a moment to the 15th to see where Mercury is. Can you see Mercury's going backwards? So Mercury is on Antares on the 9th. Oh, sorry, not the 9th. The 9th, 10th. And so around the 15th, he's moving forwards again. So Mercury will be shifting back to forwards again over Antares. So, and that's at the full moon. So the full moon is the fullness of the cycle, the full expression of this cycle. So the new moon starts at Antares, Mercury retrograde completes near Antares. He starts going forward near Antares. So there's lots of there's lots of awareness that we need to have around this energy. And so I wanted to tune into that a little bit more. and Mercury, is a lot to do with our communication and, yeah, how we think about things. So we have to be really aware this cycle, around, let's just go back to today, around how we communicate, and this could be the test. This could be the test of Antares. So the test is around drama. And I feel Mercury can also be in this place in the sky, could be a bit of a gossip, or a bit of a drama queen or king, creating drama just for the sake of it, or like getting caught in like an obsessive story about something, and our mind can be looping, into this story. And with Mars going retrograde in Cancer, it could be linked to our family and our origin and our early part of our life. We could get really caught in an old drama, um, and just watch out for, gossiping and backstabbing or talking about someone else behind their back, creating drama, like that will bring our downfall actually around this cycle. And how can we be more authentic in our communication and try to communicate with love, about our feelings. And quite often, I try to think, would I say this about that person if they were sitting next to me? And if I wouldn't, then I probably shouldn't be saying what I'm saying, So there could be a lot coming up around our communication, around our voice, around how we talk about others. We could be shit staring, or we could be witness to shit staring, and then we might get a test of like, do I stir the pot as well, and do I join in the gossip, or do I find a different way? Do I stay in my heart and in my authenticity, and maybe even walk away from those situations? Um, and then Antares will go, whoa, well done, you passed the test. Yeah. So another part of this energy as well, I feel, I wanted to kind of tune into is so the connection to the endings of things and the death of things. So in a natural cycle of life, we can see with the nature around us, the apples fall from the tree, the leaves fall off, nature just lets go. She doesn't make a big deal out of it. And then we might get a big storm come in and blows away all of the dead wood. And it all comes in a natural cycle. And then all of that which has fallen down to the earth, scorpionic energy breaks it down. Chews up all of the old, and it's in that, like I've shared already, that's where the compost is, and that's where the richness is, and that's where, the new life can begin, is from the soil. And it's that breaking down of the old that nourishes the new seeds that have bedded down into the earth. So for new things to grow well, we need the old to die, so we can have fertile soil, and so we can have, a better growth in the future. So now thinking about how, our connection to letting things go, our connections to, endings of cycles and how that is for us, And we could be having in our life around this time, closing of chapters, closing of old doors, completion of old cycles, ending of relationships, ending of jobs, maybe having to let go of some of our things, around the house that we don't need anymore. We're trying to have a good clear out before Christmas because, sometimes we get more things coming in at Christmas and we want to make sure we have space to receive those new things. So that's been a practice for us in our home recently. And so, yeah, this is the time of with the Antares energy of feeling that the shifting of the energy is like, and with Neptune going direct as well, really turning into the inner world, coming in to the dark, into the inner parts of ourselves and our psyche and our spirit. So I feel with Mercury in opposition to Jupiter, around all this cycle up until the full moon when he goes direct. There's an energy around, I feel so, like I said, Jupiter being, let's go and look at Jupiter. Jupiter's in Taurus, is also retrograde. So look, we've got Jupiter in Taurus, and so this is a real energy of wanting to create financial abundance and security. So it could be, we might be really focused on resources and growing and expanding, but the energy of Mercury, who's over around this place in the sky here, this is about the necessity of letting go, actually. And Jupiter in Taurus does not want to let go. Super stubborn, wants to hold on to all of the things. Taurians are great hoarders, like stacks of things, piles of things, books and things everywhere. It's like they hold on to the things and they feel secure in that sense of belongings and possessions, you know. Um, and so there's a voice of Mercury who's like deep in the underworld of like the galactic center and scorpionic Antares energy. That's like, you just gotta walk naked in the woods, man. You gotta let go of all that stuff. It's holding you back. And it's like when we're tuning into the mercurial energy here, Mercury being the messenger of the gods, it's really like the voice of the shaman. And when we do like shamanic journeys and things, or we work with any kind of thing that takes us to an altered state of consciousness, there's often a purging or a clearing or a vomiting or a releasing of something, that we have to do before we can attain these higher states of consciousness. And I feel with the Ophiuchian energy as well, like Ophiuchus being the serpent bearer, the serpent priestess, this really is about letting the old die or clearing space within our body of the old things and cycles to clear our body, clear our chakras, so that our Kundalini can rise up into the cosmic galactic energy of the galactic center. So when we're coming into true Sagittarius season, around the 18th, the sun will come. Let's just click on the sun so it doesn't go anywhere. And then we're going to move. Look, the sun is going to cross the galactic center. So on the 18th, we've got Sagittarius border here. So around the 18th, the sun will be crossing into Sagittarius and will be in the galactic center area of the sky. This is a rebirth for the sun. So going through the galactic center or the center of our Milky Way galaxy, it is like a reset for our solar energy, our soul, our essence, all of who we are in our soul essence is getting rejuvenated and cleansed by the sun, and when we're coming into true Sagittarius season, like I said, around this time, so from the 18th onward through to January time, this really is a time of visioning, a time of ideas and expanding into the inner worlds, but we have to let go of the physical, for in order for us to really explore the possibilities of what could be, so this time of really coming into when we come into the Sagittarius energy, if we've done the work of the Scorpion now, and if we've really attended to that which needs to die, and we've taken courage and we've gone, okay, I'm going to let go of that. And then we have to be in this space of not knowing, and in this space of possibilities, and in this space of crafting the potential of what could be, to really, it takes, sometimes we have to let go of something for a new thing to come in. I had this when I left New Zealand. Oh, I loved New Zealand. I wanted to live there forever. I was in New Zealand for many, many years. I'd made a beautiful life there. And I just felt this calling to Avalon, Glastonbury, where I am now. And it was like this energy pulling me over the ocean. And I had to let go of an amazing job. I lived on the beach, and I did lots of kind of like, I had a whole ceremony where I released all these things. And I just come back to England with just a backpack, and it was so like empowering, but also terrifying because I had no money, had to go live back with my parents for a bit. So I had a reset, and in letting go of all of that which I had in New Zealand, I then, I just bumped into my soulmate and now have two beautiful children, 5 years later. So I'm telling that story because of the grief that I felt when I left New Zealand was so much. I cried and cried and cried, because I love that land so much. But there's a real kind of in the courage to allow that process to happen, to surrender to that death, then created space for the love of my life to come in, and it was like, wow, I can really see that. And so there is a part with this Scorpio energy. It's like, because Scorpio represents what we desire. It's about desire. And I feel sometimes with the purging that comes with this kind of time of year, there's lots of sickness bugs, there's lots of coughs, there's lots of like chest infections and laryngitis, and this is all about our vagus nerve, which is the central nerve that comes all the way from our sexual organs, Scorpio, all the way up the center of our being to our heart, to our voice, to our throat, and up the back of our brain here. So the vagus nerve, when it's blocked, that central channel, well, our Kundalini can't go anywhere, it just hits the block. So to really connect to our Kundalini serpent energy, the Ophiuchus energy, we have to come into our heart and what we truly desire and really listen to that and really honor that. And so, yeah, we may be getting stuff coming up through our body that is clearing to make space for this activation of Ophiuchus, for the serpents to rise up our rivers, and to really return to source, to our soul, and that galactic energy of the stars. And so when we create the space to let go of the old and we trust in the emptiness for a bit, I've not got any bookings in January. I'm clearing space for my wintering, which is what I done last year. And it's so powerful because it's just like I just create the space for nothing, just to drift and just to communicate with the stars and my soul and what my guides and my ancestors and what it is I really want to do, what I desire, what I'm called to do, like authentically. It's like having the courage to get off of the hamster wheel for long enough to let our body rest, just like the earth does. Then we can authentically choose what we want to grow in the next cycle. And then what we grow is really in attuned with who we are and what we're here to create, what we're here to grow. But we have to find the courage to stop and to be in the not knowing and in the void space, which is very like Sagittarian kind of terrain. I think the Sagittarian energy is the visionary. It is the connection to the cosmos, and so when we are really consciously connecting to the Sagittarian energy, it's about finding our direction, the bow of the arrow. Where are we going to direct our life force in the coming cycle? So the Sagittarian energy is all about life direction and cosmic direction. Where are we even going? What is the point of this? So very philosophical time, in Sagittarius time. So, and that for us in the north is our winter, so it's when we would be like turning inward and really journeying into the inner realms and the dreams and the spiritual places. So it's my greatest passion to really live in that cyclical way, and really allow myself to slow down every year and just let myself recalibrate and really tune into my life and what it is that I'm really wanting to, what's most important to me, what do I value, where do I want to put my energy, where am I directing my arrow, which is my kundalini, which is my life force. So when we're working in this cyclical way, we can do it with our menstrual cycle as well, which is what I do with the womb astrology. We're really working with the energy of our body, which is connected to the body of the earth, which is connected to the body of the stars and the cosmos. So it's like everything is connected. So when we're listening to nature around us and we're listening to the cosmic order of things, we can be in our greatest power because we're actually working with the energy and not like trying to swim up a river backwards, which I feel like but some of us can be doing, when we're in the deep depths of the winter and it's dark and we don't want to get out of bed. How much energy does it take to get ourselves up out of bed when we don't want to, you know? But then how much courage does it take to go, okay, I'm going to let myself rest today? It's a big thing. It's huge. So yes, anyway. So this is the Antares energy, the death, the letting go, the watcher of the West. And I feel like, people connect this energy to our shadows. And I feel like it's more connected for me into um, the energy of the dark, which really the dark encapsulates everything. All the colours mixed together come into browny blacky colour, don't they? And if we didn't have the dark, there would be no stars. So I suppose it's coming into communion with the dark and all that we meet there within ourselves to really return. I feel like this is an energy, this cycle of returning home to ourselves, to our origin, and really loving all of ourselves, loving all that the heart of the scorpion is loving the darkness, loving the darkness inside ourselves and the parts of us that are really screaming to be loved. So, yeah. So I'm going to go into the chart. Let's get a bit grounded now after that cosmic perspective. So you can see I've already been scrolling on this a little bit. So um, we've got the new moon, 1 degree of Ophiuchus here. So Ophiuchus is also connected to the ether element. It's the element that unites all other elements. What's that? Love. Oh my goodness. So Ophiuchus feels to me like the rainbow. It's like it's the link that joins together all the other colors. So it's the power to connect the red, the orange, the yellow, all of the different colors of the rainbow and join them into unity. And that's like I see like our spine, like the colors or our chakras that go up our spine. It's like the rainbow bridge of our spine. And so Ophiuchus being like the serpents that at the bottom of the spine, when all of the colors of the rainbow are not blocked and joined, and the serpent can swim up the river all the way to the heavens. So Ophiuchus is that which unites, that which joins. Love is the greatest force of all. So working with this energy is incredibly powerful. And so there's a grand trine at the time of this new moon with Mars, who's in Cancer, and the North Node in Pisces. Neptune is close by as well. So this is a water and ether trine. So Mars in Cancer, like I said, very connected to, devoted to the family, the home, origins, the children, the safety, and so It feels like the Ophiuchian energy, like I was saying, this is a really nice energy, this trine. It's like uniting the family, you bringing unity to the different elements within the family, creating healing within the family, because this new moon is also in trine to Chiron in Pisces, and then obviously, yeah, so this new moon in trine to Mars and the North Node. So there's a real kind of healing energy coming within this cycle, I feel, around the family dynamics, around the home. Um, and yeah, bringing like some recalibration within the family dynamics and the home, and our the way that we can find medicine and healing for really attending to the old and that which is dying and dead. So there's a great potential to heal some of these old cycles. Um, the energy I've shared already about Jupiter being in this opposition, and this feels like, because the full moon will be coming around to Jupiter, so this is Jupiter is like the culmination of this cycle where it's coming into its full point. So, we will be feeling a lot of that. And so what does Jupiter in Taurus here, in this opposition, like I say, it's like the king in the castle with all of the things, and like wanting to just be a bit greedy, maybe overindulgent, like not wanting to share. It's mine. These are my possessions. These are the things that I want to keep, and can feel very stubborn and kind of stuck in the mud in like the old, like a way of being. Like we just have to have all of the things to feel secure and safe. And then on the flip side of that, we've got this new moon, which is in Ophiuchus, which is like, I feel like so much more about simplicity and love, and our heart with the heart of the scorpion, and just really like feeling that we can, find love and beauty within trine, Mars in Cancer, within the home, within like the simple things, the cooking, making crafts, and this I feel in trine to the North Node, close to Neptune as well. There's kind of like this energy of like, well, that is what we're moving towards, and that is like collectively to really attend to the needs of the family, attend to the foundation of our home, and our feelings, our innermost feelings and our hearts. So there's an interesting energy with Pluto, who's at 0 degrees of Capricorn, with Venus and Ceres together. So Venus and Ceres are right at the end of Sagittarius at this really amazing degree, like right at the end. And I've shared with you before, like I feel like this place in the sky is all about cosmic order, and the cycles of, or the seasons of the cosmos, the seasons of all like these feminine flows of things, life, death, and rebirth, which, Venus and Ceres are very kind of attuned to. Um, so yeah, there's an invitation, with Pluto in trine to Uranus still at 0 degrees of Taurus, in trine to the South Node in Virgo. Really, really, there is a huge, huge letting go, and perhaps even grief. I feel like with the Black Moon Lilith and Vesta, there's a grief and a sadness, or even like it could be like a fear of letting go of the past, or there could be lots of shadows coming up around, sacrifice or being of service or over giving, or yes, sacrificing our own needs, for others, and not like serving from this place where we're not getting a reciprocal, receiving back to us. So this could be a thing coming up, I feel. And so Uranus at 0 degrees of Taurus, right on Algol as well, Algol being the head of Medusa. really kind of connecting to that life force and the earth and its way that it can regenerate and rejuvenate itself and cleanse itself and rebirth itself. How many times has Gaia rebirthed herself? We might have been, the dinosaurs might have been wiped out and the dragons and all of the rest, but you know, the earth always finds a way to regenerate herself. And, with this Pluto energy in trine, they're both at 0 degrees. So it does feel like a resetting energy of the earth, Capricorn earth, Taurus earth. There's an ending of an old cycle, I feel, for the earth, and a rebirthing of a new cycle in that death and rebirth. Um, and the new moon is in square to Saturn, and who's in square to Jupiter. The first quarter moon will be here in I'll look at that chart in a moment with you all, but so it feels like there's a tension or a challenge between Saturn and Jupiter, and Mercury as well, who's in retrograde. And so all of these energies feeling this tension of like growth and expansion, responsibilities and work, and then the authenticity and the organic nature of Ophiuchus to just return to source, return to the natural, return to the organic way and the cycles of, death and rebirth. So I feel like the Ophiuchian energy is really feeding into this change. It's really when we're tuning into this frequency, of the rainbow serpent, of that of love, of that which unites all other elements. We have the potential to really like rejuvenate ourselves, to really return to our core values. I feel like with Venus coming into conjunction with Ceres and Pluto, like Pluto connected to our soul, so Venus and Ceres, I feel like there could be soul families coming together, soul partnerships coming together, soul mates, soul unions, a connection of love and soul, so this is a time I feel of the soul families coming together and uniting. And, with this sextile to Neptune as well, who's about to go direct, it's like the soul families of the cosmos and the spirituality in our dreams. Yeah. It feels like there's still quite a lot of intensity, with this Pluto opposing Mars and then with him about to go retrograde as well. I mean, it is a very intense energy just generally. And we've got Black Moon Lilith still in opposition to Chiron. So I feel like there's a lot coming up for a lot of us. And I feel like it is incredibly deep and it could feel incredibly dark, and we could be tested, we are being tested and challenged. What are we responsible for? What are our responsibilities within the collective, within the community? How could we be a little bit less materialistic, Jupiter and Taurus going retrograde, spend a little bit less, be a little bit more resourceful, and, in opposition to this new moon, return to the earth, and the simplicity of the winter, of resting, of letting our whole body slow down and settle. And we can journey into our story. And this is a real opportunity, I feel, with this Mercury retrograde up until this full moon, rewriting our story, like we have a chance now, to really transform our story, change our story into a new story, and Mercury being the connection to our voice and our communication, we could talk a new talk, share a new vision, share like no, we can choose. Can we choose our destiny? Can we actually say, this is who I am now, and make a real big shift within ourselves, and then just watch our world change? So we're going to go to the first quarter in Aquarius with Saturn. Um, so yes, Saturn, Aquarius, Moon, Aquarius. Um, so now Venus has gone past, and Ceres has gone past Pluto, and now Neptune has gone direct. We can see here, not in retrograde anymore, but Mars has gone retrograde. So some big changes coming in. So less of the kind of doing active energy of Mars. He's going to go back to bed, hopefully. That would be good, wouldn't it? um, and Neptune going direct, it's with the North Node. Yeah, starting to dream in the possibilities, dream in the vision of what we would like to create for ourselves in this world. Jupiter in Taurus in retrograde, in square to this first quarter moon. This is what's building. There's a tension, between, I feel like, the needs of the community and Jupiter's selfish need to hold on to everything, So it's like, yeah, I will just have all of my things. I keep seeing this kind of like really big rich king in a castle with lots of money stacked everywhere and food and servants and things. And yeah, so the Saturn in square in Aquarius is like, I think we could share that out a bit. What do you think? Maybe everyone can have a little bit. And oh no, no, he says, I would like it all. So that I feel is the tension. And it's archetypes of ourselves as well, It's like the way that the things that we want to hold on to and that we don't want to share, And so this is a T square at this first quarter with Mercury retrograde. Um, and now the moon has moved over to Saturn, and then yeah. So we can see the players at hand here, So we are really working with the Saturn and Jupiter and the Mercury energy a lot this cycle, and Mars as well, of course, because Mars is in trine to the North Node. So flowing with that energy, Mars, go back to bed, you know, go and dream a new dream. Ask for some insights within your dream. Do lots of, visioning, and maybe draw a vision board, or, write about your new story. We could also write about, with the Mercury retrograde, write about our origin, maybe how we was born, what we know about our birth. It could be a time to really tune into how you was born, through your mother, how that was, and maybe ask some questions if you don't know how you were born. Really trying to tune into that, um, and learn from that. How we're born really sets up the template for how we live. What we learned when we came out of our mother. Those first that first initiation, our first rites of passage in this lifetime, it really sets us up for how we're going to grow and be molded throughout our life. And we know that from looking at astrology charts and birth charts, how we're born, really it creates a foundation for our life, and the planets that are in the positions that they're in and everything. So this could be also a really great time to be looking at our natal chart, looking at, our origin, our blueprint of when we were born and what happened, talking to our mother if she's still around, how was it when I was born? What was it like when I was a baby? And just tuning into her story and her journey. That could bring great healing for us this cycle, I feel. Um, And yeah, and if she's not around, if your mother isn't around, maybe just asking other family members, seeing if anybody knows about how you were born, or maybe just kind of like channeling into it, like tuning into it, maybe doing some birth art, seeing if you can explore what your inner baby wants to express through that. And these are all things that we can do with the inner world, with the wintering time. So the Taurus full moon with Jupiter on the 15th, I'm not going to talk about it lots because I'm going to do another video and I've been rambling on for a long time. So I'm just going to show you the moon and Jupiter together in Taurus at the full moon. And Mercury is still retrograde at that point, but he does go direct later on that day. And then the last quarter moon in Virgo with the South Node. This is on the 22nd, so the day after the solstice. And yeah, in this lovely trine with Jupiter. And yeah, Venus has moved into Capricorn. So yeah, I'll talk more about these two charts when I come back. Obviously, Mercury has gone direct and is now in Ophiuchus. Um, yeah, and then any other changes? We've got our new moon in Sagittarius on the 30th. People might get excited and be like, oh, two moons in a month. It's like the Gregorian calendar is so ridiculously it, yeah, I'm not going to get into that, but when we would be using a solar and a lunar calendar, there would never be two moons in a month. It's like the months have been made incorrectly in my perspective. So the Gregorian calendar seems to keep us out of our natural rhythm, and even like the way that the months are, October, Oct is 8, so it shouldn't be the 10th month, it should be the 8th month. Sept is 7, that's September, that's not the 9th month, it's the 7th month. So do you know what I mean? It's all been crafted to keep us out of sync with the natural cycles of things. So yeah, two new moons in a month, nah, whatever, it's just because the months are the wrong size, basically. Um, the moon cycle is as long as the moon cycle is, you know. Um, anyway, that's the last rant for the day, I promise. So 13 degrees of Sagittarius for this new moon on the 30th of December. So this is lovely. I mean, I love the number 13, one of my favorites, obviously, because they use 13 star sign astrology, astronomy. Yeah, so that's for another report. So that will be my last report for the whole of January. So I'm going to have a break. So do tune in for that new end of 2024 report. Yeah, so I've got the sun shining in on me now. So I'm going to stop sharing that screen. You might be able to see me. No, the sun is so bright. But yes, so I'm going to just send you all lots of love and new moon blessings. All hail Antares, watcher of the West, giving thanks for, yeah, the endings of cycles to make way for the new. Blessed be. Mwah!